Welcome to our Trump Briefing Show. Today, we're diving into some hot topics shaping the headlines. First up, Trump's new copper tariffs are stirring up trouble, threatening Canadian jobs and industries that rely on copper, from mining to clean energy. The USW Union is calling for urgent action to protect workers on both sides of the border, as trade tensions escalate. Next, in the world of security and law, 6 Secret Service agents have been suspended following a security lapse at a Trump rally in Pennsylvania, where an assassination attempt exposed systemic failures. The agency is now pushing for reforms, including new tech like military-grade drones, to beef up future security measures. And finally, Mazda is revamping its best-selling CX-5 SUV, aiming to boost sales despite U.S. tariffs that have hit their market hard. The new model features cutting-edge tech and a sleek design, showing Mazda's resilience in challenging times. Please continue to watch for more detailed updates. The Toronto Star reports on the U.S. Steelworkers Union's vehement opposition to President Donald Trump's announcement of a 50% tariff on imported copper, set to take effect in August 2025. This move, justified by Trump on grounds of national security, threatens to escalate the ongoing trade war and jeopardize Canadian industries that rely heavily on copper, including mining, manufacturing, and clean energy sectors. The union warns that these tariffs will increase costs, disrupt supply chains, and lead to job losses on both sides of the border, especially as negotiations between Canada and the U.S. are nearing a critical deadline. The USW calls for urgent Canadian government action, including wage subsidies, procurement policies, and tax incentives to protect domestic industries and workers from the devastating impacts of these tariffs, emphasizing the urgent need to defend thousands of Canadian copper workers from economic fallout. The Toronto Star also highlights the legal battle surrounding President Trump's attempt to end birthright citizenship through an executive order. A New Hampshire federal judge issued a preliminary injunction blocking the order from taking effect nationwide, citing constitutional protections under the 14th Amendment. The lawsuit, filed on behalf of affected families, argues that the order is unconstitutional and cruel, threatening to strip citizenship from babies born in the U.S. to parents in the country illegally. The judge's decision underscores the ongoing legal challenge to Trump's immigration policies, with similar cases in other states seeking to halt the order's implementation. The case reflects a broader debate about immigration, sovereignty, and constitutional rights, with affected families expressing fears of separation and loss of future opportunities for their children. Yahoo US reports on the fallout from an attempted assassination of Donald Trump at a Pennsylvania rally, leading to the suspension of 6 Secret Service agents. The agents faced disciplinary action following the July 2024 shooting, where Thomas Crooks fired from a rooftop, grazing Trump's ear and killing firefighter Corey Compertor. The incident exposed significant security lapses, including inadequate staffing and poor coordination, which allowed Crooks to position himself with a clear shot at the candidate. The Secret Service's response, including sniper intervention, was criticized, prompting investigations and the resignation of the agency's director. The article details subsequent security concerns, including a thwarted second attack at Trump's Florida golf course, and promises of reform by the agency, such as enhanced communication technology and operational protocols to prevent future tragedies. The Independent reports on President Donald Trump's controversial appointment of Nick Adams, a flamboyant and outspoken MAGA supporter, as the new U.S. ambassador to Malaysia. Adams, known for his provocative social media posts and colorful personality, has a background that includes serving as the youngest deputy mayor in Australia and gaining prominence in conservative circles in the U.S. after Trump praised his books. Critics express concern that his brash style and lack of diplomatic experience may not suit the traditionally reserved and diplomatic nature of Malaysia's Muslim-majority society, especially during a sensitive period marked by strained U.S.-Malaysia relations and political tensions in the region. Despite Adams' confident declaration of it being the honor of a lifetime, many see his nomination as a political loyalty move that could undermine the steady diplomatic efforts needed in Kuala Lumpur. Politico highlights the anxiety among federal employees following the Supreme Court's recent decision allowing the Trump administration to proceed with firing thousands of government workers. The ruling, which lifted a temporary block on the layoffs, has left many employees feeling uncertain and resigned, with some contemplating retirement amid fears of job loss. The court's 8-1 decision emphasizes the administration's broad authority to restructure the federal workforce, raising alarms about the potential impact on government efficiency and morale. Experts warn that the mass dismissals could weaken the government's capacity to respond to national threats, especially as the White House prepares to implement these cuts immediately, despite ongoing legal challenges and calls for more nuanced oversight. Yahoo US reports on Columbus joining numerous US cities in suing the Trump administration over its designation of certain jurisdictions as sanctuary cities and the threat to withhold federal funds. The lawsuit contends that Columbus, which does not officially label itself as a sanctuary city, faces unjust punishment for simply adhering to state and federal laws by not actively participating in immigration enforcement solely based on immigration status. The city risks losing over $11 million in crucial funding, including grants for counterterrorism, crime reduction, and domestic violence services. City officials argue that these threats are politically motivated and threaten public safety and essential services, emphasizing their compliance with legal standards and condemning the administration's approach as irrational and harmful to community well-being. The Independent reports on the Biden administration's recent decision to restart interest charges on student loans, affecting approximately 7.7 million borrowers who had been temporarily relieved from interest payments under the SAVE plan. This plan, initially a key part of President Biden's agenda to ease student debt burdens, allowed borrowers to avoid interest accrual as long as their monthly payments covered the interest. However, the Trump administration has reversed this benefit, citing fiscal responsibility and legal challenges, and plans to resume interest accrual, potentially increasing monthly payments by hundreds of dollars. The move has sparked criticism from advocacy groups, which estimate that over $27 billion in unnecessary costs will be passed on to working families over the next year, highlighting the ongoing political and legal battle surrounding student debt relief policies. CBC details the U.S. sanctions imposed on Francesca Albanese, an Italian UN human rights investigator who has been a vocal critic of Israel's military actions in Gaza. Albanese, renowned for describing Israel's campaign as responsible for one of the cruelest genocides in modern history, has called for international pressure and sanctions against Israel, asserting that its military operations amount to ethnic cleansing. The U.S. claims her statements contain anti-Semitism and support for terrorism, leading to sanctions aimed at silencing her work. Albanese dismisses these measures as intimidation, asserting that her efforts to expose human rights violations are being deliberately undermined, and she vows to continue her advocacy despite the political pressure. Canada's foreign minister expressed support for international law and UN personnel, condemning the sanctions as a threat to the integrity of global human rights efforts. Nikkei Asia reports on Mazda's strategic overhaul of its flagship CX-5 SUV, which is set to be fully redesigned for the first time in 8 years amid challenges from US tariffs and intense global competition. The new model, scheduled for release in Europe at the end of 2023 and later in Japan, the US, and other markets, will feature advanced in-vehicle technology, including Google's Voice AI and Maps, with a redesigned touch panel for better usability. Mazda aims to counteract the impact of tariffs, particularly in the US, where imports account for about 30% of sales, by enhancing the vehicle's appeal through technology and performance upgrades. The CX-5 has historically been a critical model for Mazda, accounting for nearly 30% of global sales, and the company hopes that the revamped version will help it navigate the current difficult economic landscape and continue its legacy of turning challenges into opportunities. The Independent reports that Jeffrey Epstein, the disgraced financier and convicted sex offender, sent a cryptic final message to author Michael Wolff just hours before he was found dead in his New York City jail cell in August 2019, with injuries consistent with suicide by hanging. Wolff, claiming to be the last person to hear from Epstein, recounted that Epstein responded to his inquiry about his well-being with the phrase, "still hanging around," which Wolff believed was characteristic of Epstein's ironic tone, though he wondered whether it was a coded message. Epstein also asked Wolff if he would write a book about him, which Wolff declined, and despite his belief that Epstein's death was likely a suicide, he expressed doubts about the official narrative. Meanwhile, recent government memos from the DOJ and FBI have dismissed long-standing conspiracy theories suggesting Epstein had a secret client list of powerful individuals involved in sex trafficking, concluding no credible evidence was found to support such claims. This official stance has sparked outrage among MAGA supporters, especially as prominent figures like FBI Director Kash Patel and Attorney General Pam Bondi faced criticism for mishandling Epstein-related disclosures. Former President Trump also dismissed the Epstein controversy, questioning why the topic remains relevant years after Epstein's death, despite ongoing public suspicion and conspiracy theories. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6 Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6 team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6 Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6 Brief via email.
Money flowing like a river, stocks to rise and sometimes shiver. Economy goes up and down. In this game, we wear the crown.